good evening to wherever you are. My name is Luke Bragg, and I am one of the co-founders of Profila. And today we're talking about Chapter 4 of the Profila Way article series in support of Zeek Week. You can find information on where to buy your Zeek token on the Profila Twitter page, either on LCX or on NinSwap. So today we're talking about Chapter 4, Zero is the New Hero. And this is about two concepts, zero-party data and zero-knowledge services, zero-knowledge advertising, zero-knowledge proofs in general. Both of them together will create a wonderful, better internet. It is going to change everything in how we interact with the internet, how we interact with companies and organizations. It's going to change how we find products and services, how we search the internet, how advertising and social media are constructed. Essentially, it will change all the interaction models that we use now. And we are big fans of these, obviously, these movements. I often say in conversations with folks that we'll look back at how marketing works now, and we will marvel at how stupid it is, and how inefficient it is, and how ineffective it is. It's because both the tools and the incentive structures that we have now push brands toward spray and pray marketing with low conversion rates, and individuals don't have the sovereignty of controlling the most important information about themselves. But like many times in history, technology components are created, and then someone comes along and learns how to aggregate them into a better model. And that's what we're trying to do at Profila. So zero-party data and zero-knowledge services are very, very unsexy in themselves, but the eloquent, smart ways of putting them together into a new paradigm, that's where the power comes. It's the application of these emerging technologies that is going to change the world. But let's step back for a second and talk about how things are now. I like to call it searching and stalking. The searching part is all of us needing to go on the web, find websites, search within websites for the things that we want. We've got to essentially learn how a company views the world through their navigation to try to find the things that may be interesting to us, products and services, or whatever. It's exhausting. It's becoming more and more exhausting over time. But we have to go into that hunting and gathering mode, that searching mode, to find the things we want, which seems very, very inefficient. And the stalking part is, from the brand's perspective, they only have access to certain data that they can buy or they can scrape, surveillance tracking, all of that. They have to rely on that limited data in order to do as much target segmentation as they possibly can, but also they have to do it on platforms that they don't quite understand. They are slaves to the algorithms of Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and things like that. And those algorithms can change on a dime. They don't always understand why their engagement's going down. So their incentive is to do more and more, bolder and bolder, essentially screaming at you to get that quarter second of attention as you are scrolling through your feeds on those platforms. Secondly, there's only certain things that they can measure on these platforms. They can measure if you've seen something, the impression. They understand if you've clicked on something, that kind of level of engagement. But those aren't very authentic ways of measuring. Same thing with an email newsletter. They can see opens and they can see click rates, and that's fine. That's what they can measure, so that's what they care about. That's what those individuals and those companies are incentivized with. That's how they view their own performance, because they intensely care about what they can measure, but often in life, what you measure isn't always the most important thing. They can't measure annoyance, they can't measure sentiment around how you're reacting to a specific campaign or whatever. So all they can do is just do more and more, and louder, in areas that are already very, very busy and noisy, your email inbox and your social media feeds. And both those things were designed for other kind of communication, much more authentic communication, until those platforms, especially social media, had to pay the bills and had to keep the servers running and such, and had to find a way to make money. And advertising is the default for making money when you create a new platform. So they simply adopted what's been going on for 150 years in terms of how advertising has worked. They have to stalk you. They have to try to get as much information on you to try to target you as much as humanly possible. But that's just not a very efficient or effective way to go about it. But we have two saviors that are already existing, are maturing, and of course Profila is trying to put those together into a very neat service and a series of services that can use those technologies for empowering and matching. Zero-party data, which is a concept created by Forrester, is really authentic and valuable information that you consensually and openly give to another organization intended for your benefit. So it's not like first-party data where you have to provide some information to get access to something, or third-party, which is just data that's floating around being sold and without any permission or ethics about that. But zero-party data is more valuable because it's coming from you. And one of the core tenets of Profila is zero-party data. The idea that you can create a more accurate, authentic, and valuable data set, insights, sentiment, preferences, ambitions, wants, and needs about yourself. And almost all of that is not available currently to brands or any organization that wants to target you, wants to find you or keep you as a customer. They have to rely right now on demographics and engagements, observed behavior, and some metadata about you. But I don't think metadata really captures who I am as a human being. But my sentiment and preferences do. And that's a huge part of the Profila model, is self-discovery quizzes. You answering questions for yourself, for your value, about your travel preferences, about what kind of entertainment you like, home and garden. We have about 30 different topics, different categories that we capture, allow you to capture zero-party data about yourself that provides a much more holistic view of you. And if shared consensually with brands, can allow them to stop cluttering up your inboxes with irrelevant ads, because now they know you better. It's a real simple model, but we'll look back and go, why wasn't it always like this way? How did it evolve in a way that's where we are now with searching and stalking? And zero-party data is the ultimate expression of decentralization, because it is putting all this power in each individual's hands, these superpowers in each individual's hands, to do with what they see fit. Not only creating a better data source about themselves, but also giving them full control over who has access to it, what they can do with it. And that's why the opportunities around zero-party data are incredibly vast, because the current paradigm is so poor. We'll look back again and realize, we should not have accepted that. First of all, it was inefficient for brands, and it was annoying and cluttering and stressful for individuals. But soon, the Profila launching and people starting to build up their Profilas, you're now taking a better product to market. Why would a brand ever want to pay a social media platform for data about you when they can pay you for the best information? Not only just a snapshot today, but ongoing, seeing how your sentiments change, your preferences change over time, and being able to use that information that, again, you've consented to put you in a much more accurate customer segment, or obviously personalization as well. We like to joke that we're kind of like Breaking Bad, where you create the good stuff and you control the supply. And it really is a good tagline, if we weren't stealing this from the TV show, for what your Profila can do, and what control, what power that we want to empower you, to give you a platform to have that. And then combined with that, so again, imagine you now have a more valuable set of insights about yourself that you control. But now you want to go out in the world and find things and find products or services or holiday trips in the future. That's where zero knowledge services comes into play. A zero knowledge proof is really the ability to prove that you know something or something that is true without revealing details of that. So for instance, one of our features with bona fides is, in the future, is the ability that I can prove I have a valid reason to live in Switzerland, but I don't need to show the details of my permits, the expiration date, the type, things like that. All I need to show is the actual proof that I have a legal right to live here in Switzerland, and that may be important to a brand in the future. I like to think of zero knowledge advertising as a black box. So imagine a scenario where I'm looking for a holiday, a package tour to a specific place. There are timely things and there are timeless things in that request. The timely things are, I'd like to go in the fall. I'd like it to be 2 weeks. I'd like, this is the location. Here's my home airport. The things specific to that trip. But the timeless stuff is what's in my head and what's in my heart about how I like to travel, what activities, what pace, things I like to do, things I don't like to do. Things like how much connectivity do I want when I'm on a holiday. All those things are the real valuable insights. And combined, those two things, the timeless and timeless stuff, should tell anybody who wants to pitch for my business, pitch for my travel wallet share, to recommend what in their package holidays match up with that. Now, where zero knowledge advertising comes into effect, imagine that little object that captures my timely and timeless about what I want goes into a black box, and from the other side, let's say a company with 10,000 different package holidays also goes into that black box, and in that box is a smart matchmaking to take all those 10,000 trips and say, okay, well, let's whittle that down to 5 and present Luke with 5 options for a package holiday that meet his criteria, not just time-wise, not location-wise, but also the preferences I have for how I like to travel and what I expect to get out of that trip. So those 4 or 5, those 5 offers come to me, and no light leaves the other side of the black box to the brand. I can choose to interact with one of those offers and take it forward, and then there may be some sharing of personal information to buy the trip, for instance. But if those 5 are coming from 5 different companies, the ones I don't choose never knew who I was. They have zero knowledge of who I was, who received this offer, and what they did with it until I decide to engage. Therefore, they can't remarket to me. They can't start sending me a newsletter hoping I don't unsubscribe. They can't start putting banner ads on sites to entice me after the fact. Something we've all experienced of buying a product online and then you start seeing ads for it on the web. That's just insanity. So zero knowledge allows me to go out in the world and find the things I want without giving up any of my privacy until I decide to engage in an actual commercial interaction, a transaction. And that's very, very powerful, not just for things where I want to buy something, but even just for information. That if I'm out searching for something on the web, I shouldn't have to give up my privacy just to get an answer that I want. And zero knowledge services, that's why I give it not just zero knowledge advertising, but a more broader term of zero knowledge services, because we've got a lot of these in our mind, especially as AI agents have become more prominent as well. That's the technology that will ensure people have privacy with the transactions and the information requests that they want, while also being able to inject the best insights from them via their Profila, which is your zero party data. I've mentioned at the Cardano panel last year that we'll know we succeed when Profila just becomes a noun. It just means the best information, the best insights about you, whether it's your digital IDs, your wallets, your personal information, your psychographics, your demographics, any data that should be yours, either you create or use on different services. All of that is your Profila going forward. I truly believe that smart matchmaking is going to be how a lot of marketing is done. And even to kind of dissect that word again, the idea of a market's a place where people come voluntarily to exchange value for value. Well, marketing should be about creating that space where people can come and do that. And zero-party data and zero-knowledge services are part of earning that trust that this is a better model, a better paradigm for how people get anything in the future. You know, imagine a world where what's in my head and what's in my heart matched up in a black box with the product and services that I want, and I can then choose with no future repercussions for anybody that I turned down or anything that I didn't want to engage with. That's a very, very powerful idea that we're trying to push forward. And so, again, these things in themselves are simply technological solutions that we will see hopefully different ways of interpreting the different aggregations, different applications of these technologies in the future. Now, there's a good chance that they'll be used to support the current paradigm of surveillance and stalking and such like that. But that's why Profila is trying to create a new paradigm. We are reversing the model. Brands subscribe to your data. You're in full control. You have the ability of consent and transparency and revocability for all these data contracts that allow brands to see enough information about you to market to you more efficiently than they do now. And that really is the promise of Profila. What it does at the end of the day is it's privacy first. You stay in control of the information. You can now get a tailored experience, a real VIP loyalty kind of experience from brands, personalized but discreet. But also the tech now becomes much more trustworthy, that no one's spying on you to make this work. And that's simply not how the world exists today. But it's how it should be. So we are building something for the ideal that lets people prove who they are, prove what they want, prove who they are in terms of their sentiment and preferences, without compromising their privacy, be able to go out in the world and find the things they want, not worried about what's going to come next and what those companies on the other side are going to do with your data. And that's really what we're trying to do. We're first saying that the product about you on the market is a poor one. You can create a better one through your Profila. And then you can go and engage in all these different kinds of relationships with different organizations in a way that's either explicit, that they subscribe to you, therefore they know who you are, that a zero knowledge environment is not required, but the things that you want, the things that you want to buy or want to engage in a service, that's where you can choose to say, okay, I wanted to have this in a zero knowledge environment, because when I'm done, I don't want any residue from this later on with additional ads, additional emails, and more of your data out there in the world to be traded and bartered. That's really what it comes down to, that these two technologies, zero-party data and zero-knowledge services, we are trying to create a very elegant and powerful application of these concepts, all to serve you, all to give you superpowers to be able to manage and create a more accurate repository about you and let you do the things you want to do in the world. And that's so key to the Profila mentality, that we want to give people superpowers, and we want to use all the new technologies that are coming on and say, okay, how can these be applied so that people are more powerful? And it will help people, of course, but it'll also help brands, because they have to become more effective in their communication, because they may only have one or two chances with you, because you can always turn off the taps, and you can always accept or decline a data contract. So it'll make brands more efficient and more effective. And the first brands to understand this are going to have a competitive advantage over the ones who continue just to spray and pray on social media and deluge our inboxes with email newsletters and not give us the choice of granularity in the communication. So it's really interesting topic for us, and also part of our mindset of how can we look at new technologies and figure out how to apply them for the best advantage for people. So that is chapter 4 of the article series we're publishing this week during Zeek Week called Zero is the New Hero. Again, I am Luke Bragg, one of the co-founders of Profila, and this is Zeek Week. We are launching our public sale for our token Zeek, which is the circulatory system of the platform. It flows through every feature. There are many, many earn and burn scenarios, both now and in the future. So it's a true utility token. It is the coin of the realm of the Profila platform. And there will be more and more applications for this token with every feature that we develop in the future. We always think, how will Zeek flow through this? What are the earning scenarios? What are the burning scenarios? And so you want to pile up on Zeek this week and help fund our next stage. And we hope that you join either LCX or MinSwap. The links are on the Profila Twitter page. And I hope you invest in us, in our dreams, because we're